All right. Let's do this one really fucking quick, so that way we can, continue drinking and shit.
So apparently we're supposed to go fucking play with James.
Fuck James.
God damn it. So we have to make this a quick
I'm
podcast.
sorry that we have friends who want to do things with friends.
They don't want
He doesn't want to go podcast.
They don't want to fucking hang out with us. He just wants fucking
It's urban night.
Everyone complains about not podcasting.
Come over and flick my bean.
And then,
I mean,
That's you, James. You fucking piece of shit.
Dragon.
I was going to say dragons are difficult. Dragons are very difficult. Anyway, right here in my hand is this GameInformer magazine. Because, they're a wonderful publication sponsored by GameStop. #ad. So
Hashtag not sponsored.
yeah, it's not sponsored at all. We don't get fucking shit for this. I thought it'd be interesting to do a quick little podcast on this one because they decided to put all their dicks on a table and measure it and decide on the top 100 RPGs of all time, which to RPG lovers as ourselves, that's a big fucking feat. I feel like they're probably going to be wrong in a lot of places, in our opinion. But I thought it'd be fun to get y'all's opinions on this.
Does it say how many people contributed to that list?
Basically, everyone who works at GameInformer.
This is going to be super subjective, so I'm not going to...
I don't want you to hold punches.
Incredibly harsh, but I'm not going to pull any fucking punches. I mean, if I think they're just fucking wrong, then they're wrong. Do we want to start at top 20 or top 10?
Well, the first thing I want to do,
if you want to get our most best arguments and you want to see us the rowdiest, we should probably start at top 10.
So before we do top 10, what I want to do is I want to get everybody's opinion on what you think the best RPG of all time is. The best RPG you've ever played in your life. Now, understand that after skimming through this list, it is a very broad term when they say RPG.
Prey on there?
The newest one, unfortunately not, which it should be.
This is going to be difficult, but I will try my best.
Legitimately, any type of game that even has an RPG element, even if it's not the main focal point of the gameplay, can be considered an RPG. For example, Destiny is on this list.
Goddamn.
Destiny
of course it fucking is.
Destiny is a shooter
They just had to
that
fucking
has a little
stroke
bit of
that dick
RPG elements to it.
BioShock should also be on that list if it's not, and it should definitely be way ahead of Destiny.
The Souls games are probably on there too.
Probably.
Yeah.
So,
Patrick.
Well, anyway, so all right, I guess that is a good idea. We should we'll go down the line. We're joined here by the lovely Misty, who failed her fucking mic
test.
I'm sorry, I got nervous.
God, you're not talking to anybody. Nobody fucking listens to us.
We're not even live.
I don't even listen to
We're
this.
not live, right?
Live?
No,
Or
we're
like
not.
recording?
No,
we're recording, we're not live.
We have 40 minutes, Michael.
Sorry, Ian.
God.
All right, he'll live. All right, I want to call him out for his Dale juice, but we'll get there later. Anyway,
We'll do that in person.
yep.
That's a really
Do we need to come back to you? Do you need more time to check your mic?
No.
Is it not plugged in?
It's good.
I'll give you a hint. Not specifically.
I was like,
that
Pokemon
one.
Go? No, that's not. It's
Anyway,
probably on the
It's
list
not
though.
Pokemon Go. Fuck this
Probably
list.
my first one that I played was Pokemon, but probably the Persona series is my most favorite.
Which Persona would you say is number one?
I haven't got to the new one yet, but
Out of the ones you have played.
I don't know. They're so different, but I really like 3 still.
Okay. I will tell you that 3 is ranked number 48
Oh,
of
man.
100.
All right,
Interesting.
that's rough.
How does that make you feel?
I don't have much hope for this list, to be honest.
Neither do I, and I've already read most of it.
All right.
So no defense, no well, it should be higher because of this.
Now I need to know what else is on that list.
Yeah, it depends
Well,
on what
well,
else is on the list.
Well, we'll do
Yeah.
that with the top 10, but I just want to see
we can find
where
it
your
once we
favorites
do
are
it.
at. So Jared, what's your all-time favorite?
Boy, this is going to be difficult.
And I feel like you have a list to choose.
I have a huge list.
Dan
so,
should really be
like
here.
right now, my top 3, and I love a lot of RPGs, but my top 3 at the moment is probably Morrowind.
Okay.
Which I don't want you to tell me. We'll do the number 1 slot.
Okay.
Mass Effect 2,
Okay.
which only barely beats Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Aim.
Okay.
So I want to see where Shadows of Aim plays, because if it's not in the top 25, I
Okay.
feel like they really done.
So you
fucked up.
want, out of those 3, you want to know what Baldur's Gate 2 is?
Yes,
Do you want to know the exact, or do you want to know the ballpark?
the exact would be awesome.
It is number 9.
Number 9. Okay. All right.
Is number 9.
I feel like that is there is some hope for this list. That said, it's not like number 4, so there's not a lot of hope. But that's like that's better than I thought it was going to be.
You'll be pleasantly surprised by some of this list.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple that you're like, why is this even here?
I'm sure there's going to be like that one, like I played this as a 5-year-old and never actually went back and played it objectively. So
Sure.
therefore,
Absolutely.
because me and Dan have a lot of that, and that's like the whole point of the series we want to do. When we tried to record Chrono Trigger, for instance,
Fuck.
where we go back and we play these games to see if they really are worth their metal. Because I can assure you right now, playing through Tactics, it is nowhere near as fucking good as I remember, but it is still a pleasant experience. And but it definitely it fell a lot in my eyes going back and playing it objectively recently. So Michael,
My favorite old school RPG.
It doesn't even have to be old school.
Well, no, I
Just
know.
any game that has an RPG element to it.
FF8, but what I want to know if it's on the list is Parasite Eve.
I can tell you that Final Fantasy VIII is not on the list.
good.
I'll have to look to see if Parasite Eve is.
Oh, both of you really like Final Fantasy VIII, so
And then I understand why people
still
don't like
not
it.
sorry.
That's
my first
totally
one.
fine.
If I played 7 first, that probably would be my favorite. But
Let's
I played
see.
8
Let's
first.
see.
Patrick ran that theory when we talked about Final Fantasies, and we found out that a majority of our group, the first Final Fantasy that we really dug our teeth into, was the one that ended up being our favorite RPG, or at least in the
was that 6
fantasy series.
6?
I think for me it was I think, God, I don't even fucking remember. I think I said 9. Pretty sure 9 is my favorite, but I think objectively speaking, 6 is probably the best.
Parasite Eve is not on the list.
I do think Parasite Eve should be on that list somewhere. It is super good.
It's very underrated. I will
It's a
say
horror
that.
RPG.
I mean,
awesome.
you guys are gonna hate me, but I think Parasite Eve is better than Resident Evil. Granted, it's newer.
I don't know if you can really compare the two because they're not really the same game at all.
Resident Evil's
I'm not
really
comparing
an
them. I'm just
RPG.
saying I think Parasite Eve is better than Resident Evil.
Yeah, you can enjoy it more, but I
was-
enjoy Resident Evil a lot
Was
more.
Fear Effect ever considered like RPG?
It had elements, but it's also not on this list. You're literally picking out of the bottom of the garbage can. But that's fine. I love Final Fantasy VIII. I don't care what anybody says. So, from this point on, we will do top 10. Now, what's mine? Okay, we'll do mine too.
Yeah, duh.
Favorite game with RPG elements is System Shock 2. However, I'm going to go with my favorite pure RPG, and that's Knights of the Old Republic. And that's
off to you.
that is number 7 on the list.
As it should. Well, yeah, I think it should definitely place Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2.
1.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
2 was
sloppy.
good if it had 6 more months of
It
development.
should have been cleaned up totally. Obsidian just fucked that game to shit.
Was it really their fault, or was it the publisher saying you
It's
need to get
both.
this? You need to get this out
It's
now.
both. Obsidian can say no. They can miss their SLA and pay fines. Like, okay, let's stop pretending that publishers.
Here's a lesson plan for you.
Yeah, let's stop pretending that publishers are the root of all fucking evil. Like, developers are just as much to blame. Developers need to give accurate and proper timelines, and they also, when they fuck up, need to acknowledge and just be like, this is getting pushed back. We're gonna lose our bonus. We're gonna lose some money. This is getting pushed back. We will pay fines. We will hit our missed SLA triggers. Like, that's just what you do. That's good business. You don't put out an inferior product, and that's why Knights fell off so bad.
The South Park RPG continues to get delayed.
But Jared,
Or
Yeah.
you don't want to be
that's why
last
they do this
guardian
thing now
either.
called Day 1 patches.
Well,
Or patches afterwards.
and I think
But
that's
this
still
is a time where that shit didn't exist.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but Stick
Then.
of Truth was a really good game. I'm totally cool with Stick of Truth pushing their game back
By like a year
And-
plus.
Oh, please, thank you.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was a finished product.
And it was good.
It was great. I loved it for
fucking
what
good.
it was.
So yeah, that's where we're at. We can do this. We can do this a couple of ways. We can go top bottom. We can start with number 1, or we can start with number 10
Let's
and
start
work our
from
way.
Top.
Everyone good
Top
with that?
10. Top 10.
So
down.
number 1 or 10?
Top 10. From 10 down to 1.
Okay. So number 10, and I'm going to need your opinions on this. Final Fantasy Tactics. You just talked about this.
Yeah.
Nope.
Why doesn't it hold up?
The initial one that came out on PlayStation, which I assume that's what they're talking about, not War of Lions.
No, this is the original.
The original
version.
one was really just marred with a lot of. It was a bad translation. It didn't have like the inconsistent load times that some of the other ones did have, but it still had its various bugs. And honestly, I really feel like it missed out on a lot of development from the actual Square team. It was basically made by the guy who did the Ogre Tactics series.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, while that's really awesome and good for that guy, it really showed through that was pretty much his pet project. And I really feel like Square could have brought in their other developers and it could have been a collaboration. And that's really where like the Onion Knight and Dark Knight classes came from in the later series. And it probably would have slowed down development a lot to include those in there. But the experience to job points isn't very consistent. There's a few things about the game that as a whole, it just being so linear, the secret characters, I don't think it holds water the way that it should. But Tactics is an awesome fucking game. And it is, without a doubt, a game that I mean, it did get updated, so I will...
I'm going to go ahead against the grain here and say I think Tactics is boring as fuck.
And I didn't play it.
That is fair. Tactics
I
can
tried.
be boring as shit.
But then again...
Especially when you grind. Grinding is the fucking worst in that game.
And again, the first Tactics game that I played was Tactics Advance. So I probably didn't start off on the right foot, and that's probably why I don't like the series.
Tactics Advance had even like worse load times than the PlayStation one did.
Which is weird because it's a cartridge.
Yes. I think...
Again, what you said, the grind was what killed me. Yeah. I had to grind the same quests and missions over and over again until I was even remotely strong enough to do the next one. And it was getting aggravating.
It really is.
Maybe I just suck at the game. That's probably why I don't like it. So...
I mean, we can also go back and play through it objectively and see how you feel.
Sure.
But I will tell you now, it is an utter fucking grind fest. It is a labor of love. And that's why I don't think it needs to be on the top 10. Much like Final Fantasy 1 should not be on the top 10 because it is a labor of love, not a labor of good game mechanics.
Good news for you, it's not.
Excellent.
Anyway, number 9 we already know is Baldur's Gate 2.
Woo! Shout out.
Again, another game that I really wanted to like, but it's very treacherous if you don't know what's going on.
It definitely requires...
all of your brain cells.
Yeah, it does. It's fun, though.
We'll leave it at that. We feel like that's a fair one.
I talk about it way too much to talk about it here.
It would be you again talking for another 30 minutes.
Just know that it's great and you should like it, and if you don't, then you're a pleb.
All right. Hopefully we'll get some words out of the lovebirds here.
Hopefully the other fucking 2 people we brought along to this goddamn podcast.
Sorry I didn't play those. I didn't have fucking PC.
All right, so
You'll be like, hey, yeah, I didn't play that. Game probably sucks. I'm going to suck Jared's dick now. Bye.
Whip it out.
present it.
Not in front of the cat.
She's got you there.
Cat, you're going to learn today.
I'm just going to let it happen. This is our life now. Anyway,
My heart fluttered a little bit. I was like, am I going to see his dick? Oh my God.
I was worried for a second that I was not going to be able to post this. So,
Don't worry, the FCC's not going to come down on us, guys.
yeah, we're not going to lose ad revenue because we don't have any to start with. Got him.
Wrecked.
Number 8, Diablo 2.
Nope.
No? You don't think it's a top 10 RPG?
Nah, fam.
It's so
I think
good.
I think it's fringy.
Do you think it's because it's a 2, or would you prefer another Diablo?
I honestly, I think Diablo 1 was far more tactical than Diablo 2.
Okay.
I think that Diablo 2 was far more adventurous than Diablo 1.
Okay.
I feel like people are forgetting that the first time you play the game, it is grindy as fuck, in that it gets repetitive as fuck, and it gets boring as fuck, especially in Caldeum, which is the part of the game that's supposed to be most exciting because it's a brand new setting. You're supposed to go from this nostalgic feeling to this whole other adventure, this whole different new place that's just supposed to whisk you away, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't wait to fucking get to the nitty and gritty. But then you're just like, oh my God, this is the fucking same textures I keep saying every 3 frames. Great. This is a desert. That's sand. Great. Woo! Even
Look at all those dots of brown.
Even when you're in the fucking sewers, it's the same.
So when did you start hating life?
When you go to
When you go to Chaldean, that's when you start.
Room.
Yeah, the ruins.
Yeah, the ruins. All that felt the same to me too.
With all the pygmies, all the little dudes with those big knives.
I felt like the progression of the first Diablo, going through the labyrinth, and it slowly turning into the catacombs, and then to the caves, and then slowly turning to hell. It meant so much more, and you felt like there was so much more progression in terms of the level than you did in Diablo 2. Whereas Diablo 2 was about advancing your character and less about seeing those surroundings change. Because everyone you went to, sure, it was a completely different scape shift, but it felt monotonous.
I kind of feel like so. Like in the first one, for you, the levels or the areas was like the story.
Since it was
like gradually
going
changing.
down, progressing was the storyline for you. And every time you went down, you found more books and you got more lore, and you learned about the Sin War and the 3 and 4, and you learned so much about this game universe. And then in the next one, it just kind of hints at it, or it puts you through this like huge chunks of dialogue that you really wanted to skip through because you were bored and you were just trying to get through the area. And I really felt like they didn't pace it out well. And it's not necessarily Blizzard's fault. I think it's their interaction between Blizzard North, which was bought by Blizzard when they were developing Diablo. I feel like it's a handoff between the two teams, and their lack of coordination and their lack of combined overall focus for where they wanted the game to be. They were very adventurous and very expansionist in their views, and I like that. They did a lot of cool stuff, and I really do like the game. But I wouldn't declare Diablo 2 a top 10er. A lot of my top 10s are going to be pioneers. They're going to be people who made people use their brains. They're going to be developers who made people grind it out. And Diablo 2 is a grind fest, don't get me wrong.
But there needs to be a balance of grind versus enjoyment.
Yeah, definitely.
But I will counter everything you just said, that you're looking for something that pioneered. To me, this game pioneered the action RPG. Correct me if I'm wrong. What game did it better at the time?
I think you just said an oxymoron.
What's that?
Action RPG.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, I don't think that I don't really feel like they blend very well.
It is a more action-oriented RPG.
It is, absolutely.
It doesn't rely
really
itself...
made me click super hard a lot of times with my left finger. Which I don't think should happen in an RPG. I think an RPG is supposed to be more. It's supposed to have more finesse. It's supposed to, because if you're clicking through everything in the entire game except for dialogue, then you will click through dialogue, and you're gonna miss it. Like, the only thing that's happening is this not so subtle change in your environment, which really is boring and tedious after the first 15 minutes that you're there.
Don't you do a lot of clicking in WoW?
You do, but I also wouldn't call WoW an RPG. I wouldn't call any MMO RPG a real RPG. I would just call them a fucking MMO. Mm-hmm. It's a time sink. That's all it is. You are explicitly saying, I'm going to give you $15 a month to grind because I have nothing better to do with my life.
Porn.
You're in luck, fam. We're going to get there.
Hell yeah.
So number 7, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. My personal favorite RPG, because it has everything that you would love in a video game. It's Star Wars. Check.
Yep.
It's set in a universe that's not of the movie timeline. Check. It also has a wonderful storyline that honestly I wish they would just continue with it, because it's better than anything that we've seen in movies, books, television, otherwise.
Yep.
This was when BioWare was, I think, at their best.
I will definitely agree with that.
All of the characters are incredibly well written. There is no character that you don't want to be a part of your adventure. Plus, the entire Revan storyline in general was just a sick and well-produced, piece of work that was... If you haven't played this game, I highly recommend it.
It pushed me to go read books.
And I am a fan of anything.
I did read the Revan books because of this.
Yeah, I'm a fan of anything that makes people go read books. And while the Revan books were largely disappointing, they provided really shit closure, but closure nonetheless. And if you have not already read them, but really enjoy Knights of the Old Republic storyline, I would certainly recommend them to you.
It was the game that sold me a console. I got an Xbox specifically for it.
Interesting.
See, I played that after, like, 360 was already out, and I think I was playing Mass Effect 1, and then everybody was talking about, you know, before.
I think
So
it went
that-
like backwards compatible, and everyone.
So
put
then
their
I was like,
shit.
oh, okay, I'll go check it out. And
Good looking at.
I wish I played it then, but I didn't have an original Xbox.
Yeah,
And like I can see how it grew from they went from that to like going to Mass Effect, how that came and how it's basically like the Mass Effect of Star Wars.
And
My-
the story still holds up well too, because I mean, you still have characters that people are cosplaying. Like we were at Celebration, and there were still tons of people that hold
Saw
that
like
as
10
relevant.
Revans,
Yeah,
at least.
I mean,
were there
Revan's my
any
favorite
were there any
character.
HK-47s? Because he was my favorite character.
God, he's so good, Meatbag.
Yeah,
I don't think there was an HK-47.
HK-47 is beautiful. He was without a doubt my second favorite character.
And then
in
I'm
the series.
spacing, but what's the guy with like the white skull looking mask?
that's Darth Malik.
There was like
There
4 or
were-
5
yeah,
of them.
there were a bunch of them.
Where
That's
it's
really
not, it's
cool.
not a mask, but like it's half of his face, like in the top half is like all white, kind of like Darth Vader when he was revealed, and then the bottom half is all machine, where it kind of looks like just a giant wrap around his head.
Are you referring to the guy who's wearing like just nothing but robes and then has a skull face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's not Darth.
Oh, you're talking about the second one.
Yeah, that's the second. He was a Sith Lord in the second one. I forget his actual name, but he was really cool because what he would do is he would actually consume whole planets worth of force, or at least that's how they explained it. I don't know if that's like canon as shit or not, but yeah, basically he would just eat whole like all the life off of a planet with his face hole.
It just
right.
introduced a lot of
Yeah.
really cool ideas that Star Wars as a franchise could have easily just picked up and used, but they just never did. Like this was the first time I was really ever introduced to like the Gray Jedi.
But that would
Like-
require them to really suck BioWare's cock, and they're not into that. If there is
True.
if there is one thing that now Disney is,
Yeah.
but always LucasArts was, it was proud.
True.
Like, look at Lucas's reaction to the new Star Wars. He was like, "Well, I mean, as the maker of Jar Jar Binks, it was okay, but I would have done it differently."
It kind of felt like sand. It was just everywhere, and I didn't enjoy it.
There were no Jar Jar cosplayers. I was pretty upset about it, to be honest.
Hey, but Lucas showed up. He was there.
I bet he fucking was. He doesn't have
But-
anything else to do except for be fat and jerk off now.
There was just a lot of really cool ideas, like Bastila, or like really any Jedi in particular having like
Revan's
these
kid.
were having these like special abilities that only they had. Like Bastila had her like battle
trance.
meditation,
Yeah.
where like she can turn the war around if she is meditating for a certain group of people, and just little shit like that that
I loved
I
it.
wish was implemented
was
more in other stuff, but
Super fucking awesome. And
it is what it is.
even in the books, they go over so many more characters, including like Revan's enemies. It was great. It was a good experience, but we should definitely move on if we're gonna make time.
Sure. Number 6, World of Warcraft.
I'm out.
Fucking get out of here! I love Warcraft, and I played WoW.
And I
for a
love the
long
world that is
time.
Warcraft. However, World of
No.
Warcraft together.
You're talking about the dude who in 11th grade took off from work the day the fucking game came off. Like, went to, on my lunch break, left school, picked up the game that I pre-ordered, fucking went home, and just played for a week. That was Burning Legion, I think. Or what was the second one? Burning Crusade,
Yeah.
right?
Burning Crusade.
Yeah. The expansion was Burning Crusade, and like I had friends that I made in that game. I mean, just so much of that game was great, but it's an MMO.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna open up a whole nother like list of things if you're gonna include that in,
It's-
in the
But,
RPG
but again, like
list.
that's why this list has 100 games, is because it
Valid point.
it permeates through a bunch of genres that have RPG elements to it.
I want to see what else
Realistically-
is on there.
Realistically, what fucking RPG elements? does it
in
have?
the-
what role
in-
are you playing?
In the original World of Warcraft and Burning Crusade, and
Oh,
like
sure.
you had talent trees, you had specs, you
You
had
felt like a character.
And
Yeah.
I agree.
You
felt
role
like you were
played.
making your character, but I never felt like I was actually playing a character. I always felt like I was making a character, and I was grinding a character. And when I really got to the end of my life cycle in WoW, which is right when Cataclysm came out,
Rest in pieces.
I felt so defeated because I tried so long to roleplay in a game where I wasn't meant to play a role. I was meant to just build a role. And it was a very defeating feeling. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I just like looked too hard at the series or read into something that I shouldn't have. But I mean,
I think as the series has gone on, it has become less and less of an RPG and more of, like you said, just make a character and do shit.
well,
That didn't have any sort of personal meaning to you
Yeah.
as a player, because the thing about doing a multiplayer role-playing game versus a single player or even like a small party role-playing game is that you feel less important because there are thousands of others just like you who are grinding the same stuff, who are fighting the same enemies, who are following the same storylines. It becomes nothing special anymore when everyone else is watching the same cutscene as you are.
Yep.
Like, you're not experiencing that for yourself. You're experiencing it with other people, which some people would find that as a really awesome experience because it's almost like D&D. Like, you're all fucking 40 of you are fighting Onyxia and you all defeated him and get to watch the cutscene. Like, that's great. But it kind of lost the translation over the years, where I think if World of Warcraft just came out and was in the original iterations of like Vanilla or Burning Crusade or Wrath of Lich King, I can see it being in top 10. But now it is what it is now. I can't get behind that.
They also took a giant shit on my man Arthas, so fuck them.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. Number 5. Hopefully more of you will talk about this because it's a game everyone's played. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Number 5.
Never played it. Don't even know what it is. Wonder what everybody else here has to say about it. I don't even know what it is. Michael, can you explain it?
You know
What is The
it
Witcher?
I bought you a statue from
Never
that game.
played it. Don't even know what you're talking about. Never
Really?
thought about Triss naked before. Nope.
How'd you know
Don't
her
even
name?
know who that is.
Do you see what he's trying to do here?
I do see what he's trying to
make you
do.
fucking talk.
I am going to talk. I fucking love The Witcher.
Okay.
Even though I've yet to beat it because I'm fucking stuck at the end. God damn it. But that's probably the game. When that come out? 2016?
2015.
15?
2015!
You've been playing it a while.
That's the one of that year that I played the most out of. Like, I fucking loved that game. The quests, the map, the level design, talking to you when you're playing it. Like, there was like when I texted you, I'm like, Chris, like, it says, like, what the fuck? Where do I go? And he's like, just keep playing. Just keep playing. And then, like, 3 quests later, it connected back to that other quest. And I was like,
It is a world that understands
blown.
that there's other shit going on and it actually matters. It's not like this procedural game like, I guess, like what Skyrim and what Morrowind, not Morrowind, what like Oblivion was trying to do, where everyone was on schedules and they do certain things at certain times. It didn't really matter because you just would sort of break the game in the way that you wanted to, but instead you actually felt like you wanted to play the game the way the game was intended, which is something that an RPG is very rare for me to like want to play the game the way that the developers intended. I always want to break it. And this time I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride.
I have a theory that nobody likes, but
Do tell.
I think that...
you liked Roach.
So anyway, this game is one of the most original RPGs to come out probably the last 10 years. And here's why. It's not necessarily an American RPG. It's definitely not a Japanese RPG. But I think it is a German RPG. It's something new. It's a blend of both worlds. And I don't know if I've said this before in a podcast or not, so tell me to shut up if I have. But I really feel like it is special and unique, and that they captured... It's exactly what you said. They captured this very unique blend of 11 herbs and spices where you just wanted to eat KFC.
Yeah. You normally want to play as extra crispy and you're like, you know what? I'll take the original.
That's right.
But I'm still not eating those fucking pickles. Nope.
Doesn't
No one
matter.
blames you. You don't have to see those pickles.
It's a feat, much like
Sorry, I didn't fuck Yennefer either in that game.
I did.
Is that who you picked?
You like pickles, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. If you want pickles, you can do pickles.
Yeah.
And I love that about that game. It's so good.
Did you fuck around the unicorn?
Sure did.
Bruh, you know we did.
This is why it's top 5.
Yep.
The unicorn alone is why it's top 5. I agree with it being in the top 10 at least, and the fact that it's top 5 is actually surprising to me because I would expect a newer game like this probably wouldn't reach this sort of height.
And I'm sure not a lot of people probably play since it started on PC. Like I started at 2 when it came out on 360.
Right,
when they
but no
re-released
one
it.
ever needs to play 1 because that is
As somebody
that's an obtrusive piece of shit
Yeah.
that no one needs to touch.
As someone who played 1, 2, and 3, just play 3.
You don't need to know 1 and 2.
You don't. You just need to play 3.
Is it kind of like how Mass Effect like 1 through 3 like mechanics got better?
No.
Or is it
no,
way-
No.
No, just play 3. It's just a play Witcher 3. There's just Witcher 3.
There is just the Wild
Witcher 1, when I played it, I was like, this is very unique, and I am going to get bored eventually. And I played for, I don't know, maybe 10 hours, and I want to say I came back to it and beat it, but I don't remember if I actually did, in fact, beat it or not.
I sure did.
It was so fucking
I
forgettable.
played like 2 hours of it, and I was like, it's requiring me to do too much for me to enjoy
so
this.
fucking forgettable, though. Like, the second one was good, and then
I got halfway through the second one.
they did a solid job on the second one. The second one, like I said earlier, they spent a lot of marketing on with GameStop, GameInformer, and with a bunch of distributors. Basically, they really went hard on blowing the game up because the first one really didn't have that marketing budget, or at the very least, if they did, they didn't use it correctly at all. But the third one was the fucking sweet spot. I mean, I pre-ordered it like a year and a half before it came out. It was a great game.
It's a game I've never finished. I may never will.
I'm at the
I-
end. I'm at the end.
I finished
I
it.
enjoy every single time I try to go back.
I finished it so quick and went back and replayed it just to take my time through it, beat it, loved it, and now I've gone through every expansion.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy the Game of the Year with everything and just
It's
maybe
so
just
great.
restart it.
Just rock hard dicks every time.
All right, so now we're in the top 5. Number 4, Mass Effect 2.
Solid. That's where it should be.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. That's
Mass Effect
four's a good
2
spot.
was absolutely great. I do think that the third one and the second one are interchangeably comparable. I think the only reason the second one is better is because it didn't leave a bitter taste in your mouth at the very end of the game. That said, I'm not going to have a giant chip on my shoulder about the end because I didn't write the game. It's not my story to tell. It's just my story to experience. And like everything in life, you do have bitter endings to certain stories. You do have bitter endings to almost everything in life. You will fucking die. That's going to be a fucking bitter end. Like, heads up.
Well,
Like,
for
very-
you, it's not going to be.
I mean, hopefully I just go out in a Cocor infested fucking rant, but you know,
We'll get there.
not
one day.
everybody. Yeah,
Not everyone gets to enjoy life the way that they want to.
That's right.
I hope you have a GoPro on.
And I think realistically, like Mass Effect was really trying to tastefully bring it to an end, and I feel like they could have. I feel like they could have tastelessly brought it to an end, and it probably would have been better with Mass Effect 3. But Mass Effect 2 is really good, and it's always going to shine as the premier Mass Effect because the ending felt so great. And everything along the way, especially in the last, 3 hours of that game, just fucking feels like Boner Town, USA.
It was the first game that gave you, a perceived choice, whether it was an illusion or actual choice, where the stakes kept getting bigger and bigger, and your shit actually mattered. And then it actually fucking mattered in the last mission. That was the smartest thing they could have done, that everything that you did up to that point actually had some hidden counter that was in your game save. That's if you do these things and you do the things that you're supposed to do, everyone will live.
Yeah.
And if you fucking try to cut corners, we're going to kill off your favorite people. We're going to raise the stakes. We're going to make the things that you do matter, instead of just this arbitrary bullshit of, well, if you do really well as an individual player, everyone will survive.
I
No.
love that BioWare doubled down.
They
really
sold
did.
it as a suicide mission, and then they backed it up by, even when the first time I played it, Morden died for me. And I did everything that I thought you can do. And then I did the game again, did everything the exact same. Morden lived. There was a hint of randomness to it that actually caught me off guard to the point where I enjoyed it even more because the story changed like drastically from that one event.
Oh yeah.
And it's something that's out of your control, which is nice to have in an RPG where you're going along with the story. Sometimes you want a little bit of randomness to it. You want the experience to feel a little bit different. You don't want it to be like, well, I know if I do this, this, and this, I'm going to get this sort of result. Like, why does it have to be that way? Why can't we subvert our expectations and do something different?
Shout out to Ian to immediately going on the suicide mission as soon as he started the game.
Which I love that you can fucking do.
Yep. I love that too.
You'll die, but it doesn't matter. You made that choice.
I really feel like the strong distinctions between 3 that they wanted to make was you can't start the suicide mission yet, because going to Earth is a suicide mission. Can't start the suicide mission as soon as you start the game. And they changed the ending to where a lot of your answers will matter to other people. And that's where it really is. Like, you go from this very selfish playstyle, Mass Effect 2, where everything matters to you, to everything you do matters to other people, but nothing you did will matter to you. You will die. Mm-hmm. And that was... You have to be at peace with yourself when you get to the ending of that game to just accept it for what it is.
Yeah, then you answer the phone and Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
Yep. You pick it up and you're like, yeah, my favorite crayon is the green one.
It's forest green.
Yep.
I like purple.
Fire truck red.
Did anybody die on your suicide mission?
The first time I played it, I lost Morden, Grunt, and Kanye. But I wanted to lose Kanye. The second time I played it through, I lost Kanye on purpose. And then I did play it back through a third time for shits and giggles and got perfect. And then every time I played through, I've just gotten perfect.
Yeah.
One time I lost the crew somehow, and I immediately fucking
reverted
turned it
to
off.
save, and you're like, fuck this.
I was like, nope, not losing Kelly. Because her dialogue in the third one I like it.
It's very choice.
Yeah.
Very choice. It rewards you in 3, which is the best part about 3, is that it rewards you based on how you play 2.
Absolutely.
Even if you didn't save everybody, like, it still rewards you because it reminds you that, hey, that was your fucking game. You made that happen.
It feels good. It feels very good.
So regardless of how 3 ended, Mass Effect as a series, the trilogy was the pinnacle of RPG of that generation.
It's not fucking Andromeda.
I traded that shit in.
It's still on my computer.
Nope, got rid of it.
7 patches later, still haven't touched it again.
Got rid of it. It's fucking
Moved
garbage.
on to Prey. Prey's a really good game, by the way.
That's what you traded it in for.
I did trade it in towards Prey.
Hashtag
Bioshock affiliate.
play
You
the
guys
fucking game.
owe me a butt licking or something.
So number 3, let's get through these last 3 here. Number 3, Chrono Trigger.
Fair, but I feel like it would be 2 or 1, but I'm not going to nitpick too hard. Top 3 is acceptable.
You will once we get to the top 2. I'm sure.
Let's just hear what it is.
Fucking tilted into the stratosphere.
Anybody got something good? Like, I just recently played through Chrono Trigger for the first time ever, like all the way through a couple of months ago. It holds up. It's a good fucking RPG.
Yeah. A lot of people think that its biggest complaint is that it's short, but it's meant for New Game Plus.
It's meant for replayability.
It's meant for fucking New Game Plus. Any game that's meant for New Game Plus should be short enough to where you're like, oh man, I can go back through.
And the
do
crazy
other
thing is
shit.
they did that back then.
And they hint so hard at things at the end of the game. Well, at like the last 10 or so hours of the game, where you're going through it, where you're like, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I should have done that. And then they're like, you can go back and do it.
This
and
is a game about time. You can do whatever you want, bitch.
Oh man, it felt so good.
You ain't got time for it this time, but you're gonna find it.
Third grade and just be like, why are my pants sticking out like that? Like, it was just.
Why does it feel like I have to pee?
Yeah. Why is there so much blood in this? Anyway, enough about my organs. Were yours wet?
I haven't played it yet.
Well, now you know that you need to.
Okay, cool.
And luckily for
But-
you, as
So, when's the divorce?
It lists
When's
all the
yours?
platforms that it's been
True.
released on.
Fair.
So here's all the things that you can play it on because it's on everything. PS3, PS1, Super Nintendo, PlayStation Vita, 3DS, PSP, Nintendo DS, Game Boy Advance, iOS.
Oh, I can rip out the
fucking
PSP
You can
again.
Download it on your phone and play it.
Wait, do you have it on the PSP?
I have it on 3DS if you want to borrow it.
It's not the same game, but it's close
Yeah, I
enough.
was gonna say
It's better.
Okay, sure.
It has a slightly better translation. Not much.
Yeah.
There's not much needed to be translated, but you also have auto run.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep.
All right, you win.
It's
Never mind.
just better because of auto run.
Just kidding, guys. That's better.
That's like saying like the anthology is worse because it's on PlayStation when it's clearly superior because you can enable auto run.
Yeah. I would say the only downfall about the anthology version is the load times are longer.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. That sucked a lot to go from cartridge to disc and just suck.
But that's why you emulate it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I honestly, I emulated Link to the Past recently,
Great game.
and I would not be
Great game,
surprised
great
if
game.
that was top 2. But
Okay.
I think A Link to the Past was very solid.
All right. So we'll do number 2 now. Final Fantasy 6.
Bruh. Nah.
I was trying to lead up and maybe like trick you into thinking it was a different Final Fantasy, but no, it's 6. Final Fantasy 6.
6.
Never
is-
played 6, so
I
I
didn't
have
play
no
6.
opinion on
Yeah, I
it.
didn't
It
either.
is good.
But does it hold up to all the other ones? Like, do you think
However,
it should be
comma.
2?
We will play the anthology, and we will come back to this question.
Okay.
I personally do not believe that it should be number 2. I do think that it we should really break this down into RPGs that are American based, RPGs that are not American based, and RPGs made by Square.
Okay.
That's how I feel like an RPG list should be made, because the games are like not even comparable.
Sure. But I feel like 6 is one we might need to come back to.
As a Square RPG, I think 6 holds a lot more water. As RPGs go, I think Square is overrated as fuck. And I don't think that 6
Okay.
really needs to be in the top 10.
Fair.
I would expect Final Fantasy 7 to be in the top 10 just based on...
Do you want to
cloud
know? Do you want to
factor?
know where that landed?
Yeah, sure.
18.
That is...
Fair.
That's fair, I guess, if you're going to say out of the top 100, if it landed in the top 25.
I'll try to give some context, like what games are around it.
Yeah.
Diablo, the original, was 20.
Okay.
Morrowind was 21.
Interesting.
Ultima Online was 17. Secret of Mana was 16.
I could see Ultima.
Pokemon Red and Blue was 15.
Huh. I'm not as on board with that one.
No?
Yeah.
I think it should be higher up.
I was expecting it
Okay.
to be in the top 10.
Personally.
I would put it in the top 10 for
Yeah,
sure.
for all
because
time, yeah.
That to me was like, if you want to talk about revolutionizing RPGs, that along with like Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest.
It definitely
were, like,
Americanized
the games
it.
that
I mean-
got young people into RPGs.
I think
into-
Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest for sure. But I think Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest did it better than Pokemon.
I mean, Pokemon
I think
was my
Pokemon
first
really
RPG.
sold it because they had a card game, they had a TV show, they marketed.
Well, it was
themselves
the
very well.
first like RPG that was marketed towards kids that worked.
I literally spent my entire childhood thinking I was a Pokemon trainer. I still do, but like that, it was very immersive.
No, I spent like a majority of my early, I guess, pre-teen to teenage years, when people would ask me what I was going to do when I got older, I was like, become a scientist and either invent Gundams or invent Pokemon. And people were like, what are those two? And why are you gay?
All right, so we're at the number 1. Before we do number 1, I'll do some honorable mentions. I'll name a couple that was outside of the top 10. 14 was Deus Ex, the original.
That is a good game.
13 was Planetscape Torment.
Fuck yeah. Planescape was absolutely
I
brilliant.
don't even know what that is.
Number 12 was Fallout 3.
Nah.
You're like, nah.
Vegas was better.
I wouldn't even put
Vegas was cute, but I think Fallout 2 was probably the best one.
And number 11 was Bloodborne.
Somewhere, Dan is crying. and
somewhere
Patrick is jerking
Patrick
off.
is just jerking
Just
off.
stroking his meat hard.
Before we find out number 1, what was number 100?
Number 100?
Just to see what was the
Yeah.
the
Best
worst
RPG.
thing ever.
Torment Tides of Numenera.
Oh, that's the new one for
Yep.
Planescape that just
Sorry.
came out.
And before we do that, is there any RPG that somebody wants to know, like if they were on the list, like just out of curiosity, before we go into the top?
Real quick, I have to give a shout out. If Planescape, the new Planescape's been out for a couple months, I think. I don't think it's been out too long. I think it's been out for a couple months. It is like a direct-to-player expansion almost. It's basically a sequel, but realistically, it should have been an expansion. And it was made by the creator who created Planescape Torment, which was designed by the BioWare team on the same engine that Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, that those guys utilized. Maybe it wasn't BioWare, but it was the same team that did Icewind Dale, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember if that was a BioWare game or not.
Bioshock at all make it on there?
It did not.
But I think it is absolutely
Not an RPG.
fantastic that...
But there's barely any RPG element to it.
see, I think they're...
But then Destiny's on this list.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if Destiny is on this,
Are there
should replace
any
it.
other Shin Megami games on there?
There are plenty of Persona games.
Well, like any of the other ones, like Devil. Someone
I did not see any
Devil
Shin Megami
Survivor.
ones from what I
kind
recall.
of disappointing. A little bit.
Look through real quick. I'm pretty sure I did not see any. Nope.
There's
nope,
just
nope,
so
nope,
many Shin Megami
Nope, nope,
expansion,
nope,
like
nope, nope,
just
nope,
such
nope,
huge.
Nope.
Huh. Okay.
And no.
Should we try and guess what number 1 is?
I'll let you all take one wild guess at it.
Is it new or old?
I'm not going to tell you that.
I'm still stuck on 100. 100 was a fucking budget game made by dudes in their basement for the last 5 years, and it made the top 100 list of RPGs of all time. That is fucking rad. I'm
dope.
gonna go home and buy that fucking game.
It's dope.
That is fucking cool as shit.
Number 1.
It is dope.
All right, so number 1. It's gonna be fucking Skyrim.
Okay.
God damn it.
That's your guess. Michael?
I'm upset with myself.
For shits and giggles, I'm gonna say Lost Odyssey.
That's a bold statement.
That is a bold move, Cotton.
It's on the list, but nowhere near number 1. But thanks for playing.
That is a bold move,
Misty, do you have a bold prediction?
I was gonna say Skyrim probably, but
No.
I don't know.
Pick some other bullshit RPG that just America's gonna fap off to.
Too human.
Too human.
I have that still somewhere.
It's worth a lot of money now because they don't make it anymore. It's illegal to sell copies of that game.
So I bought it because I
It
was
wouldn't
like, I'm gonna
surprise
hold
me if
on
it
to
was
this.
Final Fantasy X.
Final Fantasy X was 35.
Oh, okay.
Still very high for that. But
It was
yes.
just so Americanized. I wouldn't throw it past them to where they just like fucking jerked off at his laugh.
So no predictions from you, Misty. Are you abstaining from this answer?
I don't know. I don't like this list.
There you go.
So in a nice gesture, before I reveal number 1, at number 0, the best RPG of all time is Dungeons and Dragons.
That's not a real thing.
I know it's not.
They can't zero.
But that's what they did.
They're fucking twats.
This,
They're,
this list is
even
now
better.
null and void.
they are fucking pejorative.
Because the number 1 game on this RPG list is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
got
it's
it,
pretty-
buddy.
Cool. Fuck you. I'm done.
Did they say why they picked it?
I'll
it's the
I'll even
best-selling
read the
game at
paragraph
GameStop.
for you, Jared, so that way you blow a fucking vessel.
Great. I'm having a great time. I don't want to divorce my wife and kill my children. Great. It's a great day.
This is gonna be
Here, Jared. This is what they said about the Elder Scrolls. The essence of role playing is inhabiting a character.
The essence of role playing, you say?
is inhabiting a character and seeing where adventures take you. No game accomplished that quite like Skyrim.
No game, you say?
Which expanded on the series' foundation and let players loose in a sprawling world full of stories.
I was loose, you say?
Bethesda's mastery of player-driven progression reached new heights with this entry, combining flexible combat and engaging quests to impart a unique sense of ownership.
Flexible, engaging, and ownership, you say?
Skyrim was revolutionary when it was first released, despite some technical issues.
Oh, revolutionary.
And has grown more varied and customizable thanks to Bethesda's support for mod community on both the PC and console.
You can mod cabbages into everything.
Cheese wheels rolling down hills. Skyrim.
play it on the Switch.
Skyrim may not carry the same nostalgic weight as old school games, but it opened RPGs up to a wider audience that would know a saving throw from a feat, and it would set a standard for open world RPGs that modern releases still strive to reach.
Jared
If you're gonna
just
pick
looks
a
so mad
Bethesda
right now.
game or Elder Scrolls,
If you're gonna pick an Elder Scrolls game,
it should be Morrowind.
there are 2
Or Oblivion.
There are 3 that are better than
I like
Skyrim.
Oblivion.
All I want to do right now is yell. Not anything in particular, just yell.
Just making noise.
Just yell.
So yeah, I'm glad that we all agree that I'm not gonna say it ruined the list,
Thanks,
but it came
GameInformer,
pretty
we
fucking
love you.
close.
The list was already pretty ruined, but GameInformer. Nah, fam.
Nah, just no.
No,
I
not
kind
at
of figured
all.
number one
There
would have
was
been a classic.
nothing about that statement was accurate, and everything about that statement panders to fucking console whores who've never fucking played any of the other RPGs. Oblivion doesn't count as an RPG, by the way. Oblivion is a let me hold your hand while you walk through this interactive storytelling experience. It was a fucking speak and spell with swords and armor. It doesn't fucking
your
count
Etch-a-Sketch,
as
boys.
a
We're going on an
goddamn
adventure.
game. So to say that it follows up even as an Elder Scrolls title is horseshit. Skyrim was not at all a fucking Elder Scrolls game. Because last time I checked, in the fucking Elder Scrolls game, there was fucking progression, not a goddamn menu with stars that you just fucking collected shit on.
But they tied it to the world with little tidbits.
You shut your fucking face, and I digress.
So Monkey Island wasn't number one?
I don't even think Monkey Island was on the list because it's not really an RPG.
No, it is not, but it is still a great game regardless.
Still a fantastic game. Here's my problem, and it's not even the fact that they chose Skyrim as number one. Well, it is because
it's
not
not
even the best Elder Scrolls game. First off, because there are three others that I would rather play in Daggerfall, Morrowind, and Oblivion. Like right off the bat, it's not even the best complete Elder Scrolls experience that you can have. I would go back to Morrowind in a heartbeat. That's not even being nostalgic. It just has better fucking systems. Like its systems and its rules of the game engaged me more than Skyrim ever will.
It was designed to. It was designed to reach out and
However,
grab you by the dick.
using mods as a reason that the game is as good as it is the fucking dumbest shit I've ever heard, because you're basically saying other creators made this game great, which is telling me that the game was not good enough to begin with.
They're arguing that reaching out and captivating you with other people's work because the game could not stand on its own 2 feet is glorious. Is not fucking glorious. That means the game is a pile of fucking trash that requires mods to be playable, which is one of the reasons why World of Warcraft is not currently fucking playable, because there is no UI that supports the player. The players have to support the UI. It's something that is the antithesis to Blizzard as a fucking whole.
Well, I'm glad we got that out.
Skyrim, really?
I'm glad we got that out.
Skyrim? Why?
It's like Far Cry with no guns.
Yep.
It's like Fallout with bows and arrows.
That's my problem. Is
Borderlands?
It was essentially...
Is that in the top 100?
It was essentially just Fallout.
I mean, it's a
I don't
shooter
think it
RPG.
was. But it's an RPG enough. If Destiny's an RPG, Borderlands
What was Destiny
is an RPG.
again? What number?
is.
Like 80 something.
No, I-
81.
I agree with that.
I mean, it's shit that it's on there, but at least it's way up
Anyway.
there.
So
I think
the-
Borderlands was a better RPG than
the last bit that I will
Destiny,
say
at least.
while we wrap this up, because I'm done with it now after reminding myself that Skyrim was number one. IGN posted their own top 10 list to combat this. They at least had the wherewithal to understand that Chrono Trigger is number one.
That is good. I will say that number
That
one...
is a more fair number one, in my opinion.
I think, okay, so here's how I feel about top 10 lists. 10 through 5 will always be super objective. And I feel like people, knowing that, will always be very good at it. It's when you get into that space of like 4 through 1 where things get really dicey. Because there you are marred by your opinions. You can't just pick your favorite game objectively. No one here has a favorite game because they objectively sat down and like crunched the fucking numbers and they were like, well, mathematically speaking, this is just the best game that ever was, therefore it is. We don't have that. We all have opinions. We all have heart. We all have love. We all have feelings for things. And there are these games that just reach out and fucking grab us by our fucking brain holes and make us feel things. And that's why we all thought that BioShock should have been on this fucking list. If Destiny can make this fucking list and all it did was just look out into the deep void that is a goddamn hairy man's brown eye, then BioShock should have been on this fucking list. But it fucking wasn't. And so your 4 through 1 are always going to be incredibly... you're going to have to argue that. And you better be prepared to come to the table to argue that. So I will leave it at that. Like, sure, they got up there and they jacked off Bethesda. Good for them. Their 10 through 4 titles were incredibly objective, and they really said, what are the best RPGs of all time? And that feels good. I don't agree with the list entirely, but I will say that you can sit back and say Chrono Trigger is definitely not the best. It's not. So IG encountering it is a good thing, but it's also very important that you create your own list, and you create your own list for you and not for anyone else. Like,
yeah, we all shit on Skyrim as much as it actually, like, it makes it seem like we think the game is pure shit, which it's not. It's still a good game to a point.
yeah, I mean, look, if you like Xbox and you love getting your ass beat by me, by all means, Skyrim's probably the fucking game for you.
If you like staring into the void of the man's brown taint, then by all means, keep playing Skyrim. But you know what? To each their own. We're very fucking opinionated if you haven't noticed that already.
Except for Misty and fucking Mikolo.
Who apparently don't have any opinions at all.
So we're gonna go smoke some fucking hookah and listen to them finally talk.
Jared's really
It's
angry.
been fucking rad. I keep looking at that like that's the camera, but that's the
Oh no, I keep
That's
looking
the
at that
fucking
too.
camera!
Oh, that was fun.
Oh, brother!